What's up, everybody? I haven't been able to write, so I like to make videos sometimes when that happens. That's tea I drinking right there. I should have poured that. I don't usually do that, you guys. But yeah, I went to this place where you get chicken fingers, canards or something like that. I've never been there before, and yeah, it's all right. It's pretty good. I see what it's about. And they have some, they're they sell lemonade, and then they sell tea, and then they sell Arnold Palmer's, right? Which was going to be inevitable. People were going to ask for them, and they're just like, fine, we sell them. Damn it! Look, order them by name. So yeah, but it's been rough lately. You guys have seen that in my posts. It's been really, really difficult. They hit me so hard again. It was a long period of, and I don't know. Right now, it's better. When I went to go to the doctor, it got better, and I'll get to that. But I hadn't been doing anything. Just I'll be honest with you. It seems to me like they respond when I try to do things to pull myself out of that stuff. If I'm just absorb it all, they'll just keep coming, increasing it more and more. I say, I guess they want something me to do something, but then they make me fall asleep too. So it's like, how's this supposed to work out? But excuse me. It yeah. I mean, they were getting to me really bad. Now, they're I don't know. They're still doing tests. They want to see how tough I actually am. They want to see how much they can do, and have me still come out of it speaking normally. Um, and so far, I've passed it all. It doesn't seem like that I'm able to be gotten to like that. You know what I mean? I can't get post traumatic stress disorder. I can't. They can't affect my psyche in any like lasting way. You know, that's what it looks like. That's all I'm saying. And there's been a lot to go by, mind you. Some extreme things, not just normal stuff, like torture pushed to the extreme. So it would have happened. In other words, I've been tortured to the point where if it was any more, I wouldn't have made it. To the as much as a human can take. And how much can a human take? Well, you find out in those moments. Actually, that's what I found out, and they do too. And that's the worst thing. They record it, and they know they can push you that far. But it's looking like the recent thing was a more of another experiment. Just do it even worse, for longer, be more vicious, and never let up. And it. But I passed. I'm okay. Um, it's just in the middle of it all. It's too extreme. You can only handle so much. Every person has a limit. I said I was going to hand out this. I was going to give people this link, and I didn't do it. I lied. Let me see if I can. Oh, no. Hey, I found it. Sorry about all this. I'm always sloppy with this crap. Never know how to go about it. So I got two more, and then we're done. All right. Now that that nastiness is out of the way. So yeah, it was really hard. I've just been trying to be tough. I mean, but they hate that. Tough doesn't. Oh, hey, Lindy, you're already here. Yeah, good to have you. So yeah, it just I don't know, man. They don't respect that. Not when it comes to me. I don't know about you guys. They want action. They want me to do something. Uh, and I do various things. They don't always like the things I do. The article I wrote about airports, that was about liminal spaces and that sort of a thing. And that night I had taken, psilocybin infused chocolate because I needed something to shake things up. I had been experiencing the same day over and over again for a long period of time. It was getting to me. So I took that, and then I wanted to go to an airport because I like it. I like airports because they're everybody's on pause. Whoever they are in their regular world, that's um, kind of being put on pause while you're in a place like an airport. Um, it's a neutral ground, and so I like to people watch in those moments because you get to see a little bit more of who they actually are rather than who they decided they would become. And then also there's just an equal footing, right? Um, you're now it's like you're coexisting in amongst humanity in on equal footing, and these sorts of situations, at least for me, aren't a regular thing. Maybe they are for you guys, but it's because of it's like airports, hospital waiting rooms. Some of these places act in this way that remove us from our worst aspects, probably. Um, and maybe some of our better ones too, but probably just the worst. But at any rate, it certainly gives a different angle. So I wrote that one. I really love that one. Um, so let's see what we got here. I do have a couple of articles. Let's talk about the hospital visit first. So it was too severe. I had to go in, and they had been slowing my brain down to the point where, you know, I just wanted it looked at. It was too severe. It had gone on for too long, and I just wanted it just a scan to make sure that there wasn't something that we should be aware of. And so, I made this appointment, and it was difficult to do. The medical industry. I'm very disappointed with it. This same process of having being it was difficult to get this appointment. I can't think straight. This has been going on for a while. I got headaches. They're like, yeah, we'll put you off for a while. I'm like, no, you won't. I'm going to come in. So I mean, let's get this worked out. uh, and so they gave me this urgent care thing, which was like the last thing it was urgent. And then they told me to go to this place, and here's how it worked out. They told me to go to this place, so I went there, and there was a sign-in sheet. So I signed in, went and sat down, waited, never got called. Started asking about it, and they pointed me across the hall to a different place than I was informed to go to, and I was supposed to check in there, as it turns out. Now I was never told. Didn't you see the sign? I looked over, and there was like a cornucopia of signs staring at me. I'm like, which one? No, the one that said you're supposed to check in over here. Look, that's not how it should work. You shouldn't lie to people, tell them to go to the wrong place, and then hope a sign saves your ass. Okay? Point me to the right place, and then have them send me to the wrong place. Capiche? I mean, goodness gracious. But so I didn't get seen. So now they're like, oh, we'll get you in tomorrow. So I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. Medicine, dude. There's a lot more to it than that. My rheumatologist, I have rheumatoid arthritis. My rheumatologist, I was just talking about this earlier today, but I'll mention it again here. Um, I had thought about because I'd read that the swelling is what causes the damage for people with rheumatoid arthritis. And I thought, well, then all you have to do is eliminate the swelling, or do what you can to bring it down. So I came up with the idea of wrapping my fingers, which were having a lot of trouble at the time. So I started using electrical tape because that has give to it. And I was finding that it was working for me. So I looked into it a little bit, and turns out that it's a method. It's not very old. It's very, very new, as a matter of fact. Let me find a name for it if I can. Yeah, here it is. Kinesiology. Kinesiology. So I reinvented the wheel like I tend to do. But it was much newer at the time. Now you can find it everywhere. Just so you guys know, if you're interested in that, you can do it on your knees, on your fingers, your wrists, whatever. Um, and you can get it like maybe even at Walmart or something. I don't know, maybe not. It's a lot of places. Anyway, um, so so I was talking to my rheumatologist about this, right? I'm like, well, I went through it just like I laid it out to you guys. The swelling, and if you can get rid of that, then no damage. And I came up with this idea about wrapping, yada yada. And then I found out about, but I hadn't found out about that it was a science yet. What happened was it hadn't been out yet. That's what it was. I was just on the tail of this guy. He was making money off of it. Or not quite yet, though. That's my point. It was at the point where there was a study that had been done that showed great promise. That's where we were at. So I wasn't too far behind the guy that, you know, that's what it looks like anyway. Um, so yeah, and my rheumatologist, right? So I'm explaining it to him, and he's like, trying to shoot it down at every turn, you know. I'm like, yeah, you know. And so and I'm like, well, he's like, no, no, that would never work, you know. I'm like, well, actually, they did a study on it. He's like, no, no, they never did a study. What did you say to me, dude? This is modern medicine. He told me they didn't do a study when I said they did a study. Why would you say that? Why would you outright dismiss a claim without having any evidence whatsoever? You're medicine, man. You know? Who are you supposed to be getting your cues from if not studies? Anyway, so I said, no, no, there is. I had to get firm with him at that point. I had to like say, look, man, listen up. The study exists. I'm sending it to you. Please read it and then tell me what you think about it, because I've been using it to good effect. So I don't know. You'll have to forgive me, especially after everything we saw with the vaccine and everything else. And maybe you guys have a different position on that. I find it hard to believe anybody does. But it depends on who you get your information from. There's a pattern that exists with that one. That if I think people focus too close on one particular thing, and they romance themselves out of being able to be honest about it. So, but anyways, I didn't start this talk about that. Yeah, I have a couple of articles there. Let's take a look what we got here. Oh, one of them is the smelly road to sanity, paving the way to psychological paradise. There's links down below there. Got a picture of an animated person's brain. That's a legit photograph of that animated person's brain, by the way. So yeah, it's about how, because the tie between the olfactory senses, the sense of smell and memory is really, really strong, well established, known to be true. Come on, you guys. Everybody knows that. It's funny because you see things like people wistfully looking off into the distance in movies and TV shows, and that doesn't happen for me ever, except if there's a smell involved, right? And I'll be like, oh, you know. Um, so it's very powerful, right? And so I started thinking about it. I make some suggestions here, but I like this one better. Get a smell that takes you to a place that's already ingrained in your brain. Now, for me, I can tell you it's a place that I used to vacation when I was a kid every summer. So I can try to come up with a smell that will take me there. And there's a couple of them that should work. But this will take over. This will should prove to do good things for rewiring the brain in the immediate. It's not something that's going to last for too long, but it's like I say, it's really, really powerful. Um, and I'm going to say this too. Where I'm at in my targeting, they don't allow joy. They don't allow friends, family, or anything. Mobility, I don't get to do anything. This sort of a thing forces life, memory of life, and emotion back into my life again. It's just about taking advantage of our brains and everything the way that they are. Working with things the way that they are, I feel like. So I like that one. I thought it was pretty smart. Especially with what we go through. If you guys are get anywhere near where I'm at, then you're gonna consider whatever it is you can consider. Uh, Try to take advantage of whatever there is. Uh, so that's a good one. And then the next one was the targeting program's blind spot. It's not evidentiary, dear Watson. Their preference for ignorance is a boon for TIs. Now, this might not be true down the line. I expect it probably isn't. Now, I did see somebody else chime in and say and agree that that was the case. So it might be. So let's talk about it. So why would it not be the case? Well, because I'm just a hard nut to crack. I'm odd, you guys. I have a strange cognitive arrangement. It's not a human operating system. It's not the same operating system that you guys have. So all the stuff that they have doesn't really work on me the way that it should, which is why they hit me so hard. They hit me on the physical things, the things that will be able to attack my physical because they can't do it. The psychological stuff it doesn't affect me. So they have to turn they think they have to turn the physical stuff up to 11. Their idea of me is much greater than mine is. They believe in me way more than I do. I never would have thought I would have survived the things that they did to me. And I never would have felt like the amount of caution is necessary that they show with me. But I guess it is. Anyway, so this is the idea about living and learning. But what I found was that there's only so much of that when it comes to the targeting program. These people are not like strategists. They're not people that are able to figure out puzzles. Um, and they're arrogant too. So they don't want to take any of your advice. So you're safe suggesting shit, at least in my experience. You can give them the answer. Them motherfuckers ain't going to use it. Sorry about that. Yeah, that ain't getting used. Um, it's funny. I like to do it so I can watch it happen. But yeah, so and then it just gets more. Now, my program has gotten more and more dwindled down as they feel like the things don't have any value. They feel like the various things they do to me don't do anything, which I disagree. But they're not going to listen to me. So it's dwindled down to only a few things, and those have become more and more intense. And those few things eventually are almost down to just a couple now. three if you include the suppression of thought. So yeah, it's very odd that that's where we're at this point. I get the feeling sometimes that they frustrate themselves because they're boneheads, and then I got to pay for it. Now I'm used to this sort of a thing for various reasons. If you know anything about the way my cognition is, I'm used to injustices. You know, and happen to take the brunt. You know, the punishment for things that I didn't do. That's something that's very common for me. So it's whatever. But other than that, I've just been doing my regular thing. I try to go to my meeting at night, um, which we don't need to talk about that. But I've been trying to hit up the conference calls, but I've been missing them more than anything. Um, I really haven't been trying to simplify because they've cut back my brain power so much. I'll use whatever there is, but if there's nothing there, what am I supposed to do? And all I did was practice acceptance about that, and that seemed to throw them over the edge. I think they expected me to really flip out when they took all my brain power away. And that didn't happen. I'm very even keeled for the most part. And if you see me that I'm not, that means extreme stuff is happening, man. Because I'm a pretty mellowed out dude these days, at this point in my life. They did have me writing a couple of articles about them. One of them is called Your Perps Are Jesters, Not Operatives. And it has a picture of Wile E. Coyote. And instead of lighting a rocket that he's on, he's lighting his tail on fire. It's silly. And then the other one is The Mind of a Perp, Un Melancholy Exquise. An exquisite melancholy. I don't speak French. I don't even like to write it, but I felt like it fit them well here. So, yeah, because it's a very feminine program, no offense. It's not very masculine at all. I can't find any masculine qualities in the program. Um, yeah, it's just the program is female. The targeting program. No, and I don't mean that anything against any of the females. I'm just saying that this is how they it you know presents itself. You would expect it to try to be macho and manly and this and that, but the men that they have are um, cream puffs. And as it turns out, I mean, a lot of them are because if they've ever involved themselves in a power structure, then they've been exposed to homoerotic methods, and it's part and parcel and necessary for them to be part of the whole of the the group. It's just how it works on a psychological level. Once you realize that, it's like, yeah, I ain't afraid of you. You got to be kidding. I feel like I'm and again, I don't mean anything by this, but I'm just telling the truth. I feel like I'm the last heterosexual alive. Seems like things took a turn. I'm not judging anything. I'm not saying anything. I'm just telling you what I see. I wasn't really like this, I don't think, before the targeting got severe. You don't really know who you are, I don't think, until you get under pressure, until things go awry. But we see that in um, art and literature and these various things. I can give you two TV shows right off the bat. Lost, both Lost and The Walking Dead the characters in it were professionals, and some of them were, well-to-do and well-regarded. But in these new circumstances, their skills had no value whatsoever, and they were low man on the totem pole. It's not very different when we're presented with these circumstances as TIs. We find out who we really are, things that we would have never known otherwise. And it's just been a hell of a road of discovery for me. I would have never known that I had any of this in me. I didn't write a single freaking word hardly until about just over a year ago. I've got almost 300 articles on Substack, systems and inventions and all sorts of things in there. Yeah, it has been a hell of a road for me. You know, the targeting program keeps people from being able to hear. There's nothing that can be done about it, so I stopped trying. There are people that are so sure of themselves, people that are in positions of power, and everyone else is sure that they're right, and I can see that they're wrong. And I can prove it actually, but I would never be heard, so I don't even try. This is scattered all over. Again, I know it sounds strange because it is strange, but I have a different operating system. When we start talking about being human, in most instances I do not qualify. That's why their weaponry doesn't work so well on me. I mean, it's that fundamental. So, yeah, I mean, we're all different. I had no idea that there was this. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about myself until probably about less than a year and a half ago. I doubted myself. It was a a road to discovery, man. I was watching. I don't know if you ever watched that 25 list on YouTube. It's a ridiculous show. It's fun, but they give you a list of 25. The 25 most this or that, And then, but this one was the 25 things that you might be smarter than you realize you are. And I checked almost all of them off. Really, the only ones I didn't check off were the ones I didn't qualify for. Um, so I was like, wait a minute. What's going on here? Because they had done a really good job of keeping it down. Dude, they did everything they could to keep me from going down this road. They made me doubt myself and not believe it, but the evidence was right there. The evidence kept, it was too much. And now I've got almost 300 pieces on Substack, and it's like they don't even bother. You can imagine, they don't even bother with that. It's silly when they do because I can point to it and be like, what about this system I created? Or this invention I made, or, designed? Or this theory about reality. So, yeah, it's funny. They made me, though. Now, part of it, though, is that I can't get arrogant. It's not in the cards because it's not part of my system. It's not part of the operating system. It's just not there. So I wish more people would recognize that and stop being thinking that they need to be, get defensive whenever I'm around, because the program really uses that against other smart TIs. I mean, a lot. I've had them admit it to me, and that makes me feel shitty. So you know what it did? I just stopped talking to him. I didn't want to do that to him. Hey Nina, what's up? I'm sorry, I was somewhere else reading from the articles, so it's good to have you here, both you guys. Yeah, right from the start, I've written my story out, but I can cover it really quickly here. It looks like I was purchased I was farmed from an intellectual couple who both went on to become professors. So it looks like the government paid them to have a child, which they then put into adoption with a abusive, very low IQ scenario. That was the perfect situation to create somebody with acute powers like pattern recognition in these things. It's a well known method that's used. That's what happened. It worked really really well on me. I've got the most powerful pattern recognition I've ever heard of. Again, I can't be arrogant. I'm not bragging, you guys. I'm telling you the truth from what I've seen. Um, and I use that. You can see it all over my work. You do it then. Yeah. I shouldn't use this to do it. I should just do it from memory. But you can see it in my work. I bounce around. I've written in basically any kind of field you can think of. And in every paper has original thought, something that had not been introduced into the field before. So, okay, operating system, your family life. Oh, operating system. Yeah, the operating system. What I mean by that is you do have an operating system. Humans have an operating system that the way their mind works. It's all the same. Mine doesn't work like yours does. Yours does. I can explain it really fast. Mine has a something begins with something called um, let me bring it up. It's they're not letting me to the. There was a word they didn't let me to earlier, and it was making me laugh so hard. They didn't want to hear it again. Desperation. They didn't want to hear me say that word to them again because I like to whisper it like this. Desperation. Because of their behaviors. I guess that gets old. All right, so let's see here. So this took a lot of investigation. Uh, the primary power of my brain it doesn't work the way that yours does. It's called synesthetic conceptual pattern synthesis. This doesn't exist. I'm a unicorn, so we had to come up with something that fits it. Then it goes into and that speaks using synesthesia. It doesn't speak like there's an interpretation process that occurs from there. So it's as if it's a foreign intelligence. I know this stuff is weird. Believe me, I've been down this road a million times. Um, then it gets interpreted from the synesthesia, which I usually just a lot of times I'll just use the synesthesia. The images are great. It's all over my work. You can see it once you realize, you know. But anyways, I don't use images. I'll use words that describe images, basically. Um, but then it goes into a enhanced semantic pragmatic linguistic acuity, or more precisely, linguistic psychosemantic synesthesia, which is the last interpretation into English, into something that hopefully we can all understand. And that incorporates bizarreness too, man. It has it utilizes it really looks like quantum mechanics where there's collapse at the end on the words. So yeah, it's weird, and they know it. That's why they have to. Oh, let me hook it up to you. Let me hook it up. Most people are not interested in this, and I don't blame them. I mean, somebody should be. I put it up at scientific sites, because I used to do that back when they let me think. I put serious work on science sites for people who do original work. So here we go. Good. Good. I'm glad it is. There's the paper. I feel like I did a good job on it. I deferred as much as I could. But when you're talking about, essentially I was both scientist and subject. But I tried to, you know what I mean? I feel like if you look at the circumstances, I'm sort of ideal for that because the way that my mind is set up, I'm as good as anyone for the job. I won't skew it because of any desires or anything like that. It's interesting. But anyways, I know we got off on a tangent there. I apologize to anybody who's not a super nerd, and not saying that you are, but I am. Um, so yeah, they made me, right from the beginning, put me in the family, the abuse that just went on and on. The first 55 years of my life was with I wouldn't call it, it was an anxiety attack, nonstop. I didn't even realize it until it stopped. My assumption was that's just how people lived. Um, but when it stopped, I wasn't afraid of anything anymore. And to this day, I don't have any fear. But that went away with the upgrade. I was upgraded as well. Here's another one for you, Nina. This is the big one. They took what I had from there and upgraded it, increasing my intelligence significantly. It made it. I'm not sure if it's really hard to explain. I don't really want to go into it. I don't like talking about myself. I really don't like doing it at all. And they know that, so they try to put me in positions where I have to. I prefer to just act and perform. I like to prove things. People like to talk about, oh, I would do this and that. Well, let's do this. Where are you at? Meet me on the battlefield. I want debates. I want action with all the top minds because I'll expose them. Believe me, it's just not fair. Look what they did to me. They're just humans. Now, these days, though, they suppress my mind so much on top of it that, yeah, somebody might be able to stand a chance. And they can just increase the suppression to where anybody could beat me almost. I don't really care for debate that much these days, anyways, but sometimes it serves a purpose. I used to like to do it just to engage and keep things sharp and keep my logic sharp and smoke guys. I used to love the blood and guts of it all. Embarrass the crap out of them. Make it to where they'll never come back to that site again. That's terrible, right? See, and that doesn't sound like me at all, and it's not who I am these days. So I disengaged from all of that behavior. I don't do it at all anymore. I do engage when the situation calls for it. Sometimes it gets out from under me. I get ahead of my skis, and I'm in the middle of one, and it's a righteous cause, and so hey, let's do this, and let's finish it up. But I've never lost a debate. I don't think that's ever going to happen either. So this is what I've tried to turn against the targeting program. Um, my theoretical work on nanotechnology. I just found out that at least one or two more of my theoretical pieces were proven through recent peer-reviewed papers. My hit rate is 100%. I've never been proven wrong on any of my theories. But my ability to see these things are just next level. I have I can work in any field, but there are some that I have a special relationship with that I don't understand. Um, One is engineering. I was never into engineering. I don't understand that. That came all with what they did to me. Now I can't stand letting something go by. If there's something I can engineer real fast, I'm going to engineer the crap out of it in my abstract thought. I'm telling you, man, it's a sickness. And so then I used to be able to do actual, work, engineering. Like I decided to see, what can I do? So I wrote this paper. You might like this one, Nina. I just wanted to see if I could sit down and on demand, because I'd never done that before. I'd only done the things that God had placed in my path. I did what God asked me to do, I felt like. And this was the first time I was asking God if I could do something. Um, and he said yes. And so this is I wanted to do something beneficial. This is a design for a aquablation improvement. It's a tool that's designed to help, to use to remove the prostate in men. And I looked at what they had. It's a new science, but I looked at it and it was really rudimentary. I was stunned, and so I improved it immediately with with this new device. And then I returned to it later on because I do that. I'll keep it around in my mind for a while, and I wrote an addendum for it, which is, I'm sure, is linked in that one. And I just tried to give it to the medical industry, but it's very difficult to get anything to those guys, man. Um, I don't know if they got it or not. It's still up, I'm pretty sure, and waiting there because I don't want any money for it. I just wanted to help out. What I got out of it was to see if I could do it on demand, innovate. They had improved me, and I still had a lot of my power. They hadn't suppressed me very much at that point, and I didn't know what I could do. I didn't know if I could only do the things that God placed in front of me, or if I could take a bit of free, if I could direct it a little bit myself. So I was pleased with how that came out. It's a brilliant paper. The invention is genius. Um, the addendum is genius as well. I took it and it. The first one was okay. The addendum made it a real. They really should be making this thing. Basically, they should be already. I hope that they've already made this. Because what if I need this surgery, man? I don't want them in there with a damn fire hose like I saw when I got there. Just about. Let's get a little more precise than that. Jeez. So yeah, it's funny, and that's where our hopes lie, is original thought. Now we can keep talking about things and hope that it gets louder and spreads, like wildfire or something like that, and that helps. But I never look. I'm just going to be honest with you. I never understood the benefit of the TI with a following of people that they just talk down to and spit out a bunch of technical sounding words to. Who is that going to help? Even if you teach them the technical aspects that you're describing, what are they going to do with that? Now I don't know. It's just I really feel like some of these things are devices set up by the program itself to keep us useless. You know, we should always look to be to have results, be result oriented. That's how I work. If it works, then it's right. You know. So yeah, read. There's some geeky stuff in there, just so you know, if anybody reads that. The upgrade's an interesting one. I did a second paper on that one too, as I learned more about myself after the upgrade. Essentially, what it looks like is like I have a like there's a floor of humanity, and that allows for all the things like the worries of the day, and how what are people thinking about me, and all this sort of different things. And there's a lot more to it than that. That's just all I can think of right now. The upgrade raised my floor beyond all that stuff, so I don't engage in any of that stuff anymore, and that includes the pride and all these other things. So that's not even accessible to me anymore. I expect we probably use about 90% of our minds just battling ourselves and losing every day with worry and various other things. I'm completely freed of that. And that might be the entirety of the source of the upgrade, of the increased cognition. Because think of what that would do. So yeah, I don't have any of that going, which is why they can't give me post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, and I know they don't want me telling you that, but it's like they don't want to seem weak at any point. But I really, they're being stupid in this moment because they made me. How can they be like, oh, we're weak because we made something that's badass? Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. No, you're not weak because you made something that's badass, you bonehead. You know? Canard's sweet tea. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sweet tea, that comes from the South. A tea that it's supposed to be like syrupy and stuff. Man, they never had the tea that I made when I was a kid. I used to put a little bit of tea in with my sugar. Be like, that's sweet tea? Where's the sweet part? I forgot that. I don't know how I'm not diabetic. I really don't understand it. It's probably waiting for me. They'll probably get me before that comes, though. It's looking like. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm freaking 47 minutes in. I said a lot of things I didn't expect to, but it's all true. I stand by it all. I'll talk about any and all of it in depth at any other time if anybody wants to know about it. Um, so let's see. I'm sorry, Nina. I didn't. I'll read these before I go. That's how I am. I am result solution. Yeah. Well, that's the only way to get anywhere. I mean, I'm not here for the ride. I'm here to get some things done. You know. And it's important to have friends in the TI community, but I need allies more than I need that most of the time. You know what I mean? We need to go out and wreck shit. You know. And I can give you everything I got, which is significant. So that's what I've been doing, by the way. If you guys take a look at my work, my Substacks and everything, but they really have driven me off the rails. My work has dwindled to the point where I'm almost not producing at all. The pieces that come out are absolutely incidental. I am putting a piece out here and there, but it's like something I stumbled upon while being just, you know, suppressed to just a ridiculous level. And then somehow something came out of it anyway. And so then I'm like, oh, geez, I got to go write this thing. So I go kick it around, online and do some research and come out with some. I don't know what the quality of it is. I don't know if it's as good. I don't know if it's, there's a quality level I say that that's something I would put my name on. I don't know if it's something that I would put my name on that's good enough to carry my name. But, you got to do something. You can't just sit there and not do anything and let them beat up on you all the live long day. And, there were times all throughout my work, you can see that where, I was allowed more in the way of access to my cognition, and then less, and then more. And I suppose it's par for the course. But anyways, that's all I got. I like to watch, study, and research. You know what, Nina? I wish I could do that more. They don't allow me to do that as much as I would like. It's hard to even read a book a lot of the times. They'll let me read a few pages, and then they start to make it difficult. I try to stick it out as long as I can. Um, but I'm in the final pages of Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Man, I've been in the final pages of that book for a dog's age. So it's tough reading. It's very thick stuff, but nonetheless, man, I've got literally less than 10 pages left. Let's see if I can get through this thing. And then so that's an example. And then uh, it's very difficult to to watch other people's like TI stuff. I've lived the life. I have it up to the gills. To watch somebody else's video just becomes too much for me. I don't know how you guys can handle it. I'm grateful that you can. Um, but honestly, most of the stuff I write about is not the stuff that everybody writes about. Specifically, I find the areas, the things that are not written about that are important. And there's a lot of it. If you look at my whole catalog, that basically is every story that I've written. It seems like people just avoid certain things. The program is really effective at making people not see stuff or something along those lines. So my whole writing career has been on effectively on writing about the things that most others do not, um, and it's been good stuff. I mean, yeah, you guys don't want me out there just repeating the same stuff over and over again like everybody else is doing. I'm not saying that everybody else is doing that, but almost everybody else is doing that. Um, to be honest with you, I have not yet seen anybody that doesn't. There are a couple of people that are a bit more proactive, but some of them, they all sort of succumb to the same sort of a thing in the end. If they're effective leaders, then they will be kept alone. They will not be able to, they will never want to reach out to other leaders to actually um, come together in any way, shape, or form. They've got a good thing going, man. They're at the top of their food chain. You know, the program makes them fall in love with that far too much. I don't know that I blame them because I've seen how the program works. They can manipulate our emotions and our desires and our everything to just such a ridiculous and overpowering degree. It takes a very strong person to be able to say no to that stuff. So, but this is how it is. You know, we're kept separate in groups. You know, and each group seems to judge every other group. I don't fit into any group, so you know, it seems like they all hate me. You know, so I don't know. You know, I would have expected a larger readership than I have. Um, it's strange, but then again, I can be abrasive. I can be a bit too confrontational, perhaps, a bit too on the nose, for sure. But I mean, somebody needs to be that person. You know, we can't all just shine everybody on, you know, and be like, nah, your ass doesn't look fat in those jeans. You know, no, bitch, your ass looks fat. I'm sorry, I had to say it. It was waiting there for me. I think I better take that as a cue to end a video. So, by the way, your asses do not look fat. That was just, you know, it didn't have anything to do with actual life. That was using it as an example. So, yeah, we know TI's asses don't look fat in jeans. You bet, Nina. Thank you all for coming and watching the video, and I'll see if I can do another one. I'm trying to do one at least once a week, and lately I used to be all prepared and have written sort of an itinerary for it. Now I just show up and I don't even know what I'm going to say. This time I had a couple of articles that I could point to, but other than that, I sort of, you know, that was you know, yeah, that was unplanned. So, anyways, thanks, you guys. You know, we'll see you around, and God bless the TIs.